Thanks, Madhu. Anand is still stuck in traffic. Anand Tendulkar is on his way. So we will go to the next speaker. So I'm taking this opportunity to introduce Rana Ayyub. Of course, she doesn't need introduction because she's become a famous author overnight. But before she became that, there are many things that that shaped this young journalist, and I think we would want to hear a little bit about that as well. But to my mind, it also represents over here what we are seeing and what Sudha talked about. This about 5-6 years, till about 5-6 years ago, the general talk used to be that आजकल के युवकों में the youth, their direction is they have absolutely no politics. They're just not interested in politics. But what we are seeing today is really so inspiring that a whole new generation, whether they are students, whether they are a journalist like Rana, or whether the group of young people who organized a very inspiring meeting on Saturday, Bastar Solidarity Network. So I feel that this is also a sign of our times. With Rana, my association with her has been as a journalist as well. And she has dedicated her book, The Gujarat Files, to two people who were also closely associated with Sebastian, Shahid Azmi and Mukul Sinha. So I spoke to her that she should share a little bit of her association with them, why, in what way they inspired her. But the main subject of her talk is going to be on Malegaon, which she will of course share with us. That she was the first journalist to have interviewed Hemant Karkare, the ATS and the Malegaon and the link with the Hindutva groups. At the same time, we also have to salute the spirit of, in today's times when media has really become sold out corporates, what we see on television is mostly so shaming and shameful. So in such times that a young journalist has the courage to self-publish a book like this, one can just imagine the kind of challenges that she has faced. So just as Sudha appealed for support to the journalists who are behind bars in Chhattisgarh, similarly we have to build that solidarity and support for journalists like Rana Ayyub, which is why we have called her to speak at Sebastian's memorial meeting today. Thank you. Just as I am completing, Anand has come. So shall we call Anand, or Anand, please come. But Rana can speak. Yes.
Salam everyone. The discussion is on making of a fascist state. Just 2 days ago, there's been an FIR filed against me, for holding the RSS responsible for Mahatma Gandhi's death, assassination. So that's a good beginning, right, for making a discussion and making a fascist state. What do I say? I mean, I've been speaking ever since the launch of my book, Gujarat Files, and today as I speak, I'm 32,000 copies old in the market, and it is as much a bestseller as a bestseller can be. I mean, One of my claims to fame also has been that I have displaced Chetan Bhagat from the #1 position in the country. So I have raised you here from mediocrity. Yeah. No, not that it's a laurel, but yeah, lifting India from the mediocrity, it has set in, it's a challenge. I am dealing with a fascist state and at very close level. I know that there could be a case against me anytime soon. My lawyers are palpitating each day, hyperventilating that I should be very careful in what I speak to the media. Think twice before I tweet, because every tweet, every line that I speak will be held against me. I know my bank account has been frisked so far, only to find that I have about 3 loans which the government won't pay. So I don't have any foreign funding in my account either. And well, I do not have any political affiliation. The government, Mr. Amit Shah and Mr. Modi, have done every bit of that frisking, I'm rest assured. But they have got tacit support from the mainstream media, and they should thank the media for it. I mean, barring the print media, which has given it terrific reviews and which has covered it as and when, not as well as it should have, but the television media has developed some kind of amnesia about it. You know, on my launch in Delhi, every possible editor in the country, I mean, you name it and they were there, from politicians to editors. In a hall meant for 150, I had about 550 in the audience. And next day I thought, okay, the front page of every newspaper will be the revelation in Gujarat files. I mean, not even a single column in any of the newspapers that says something about it. Forget that, I mean, I thought at least some news channel, at least your channel, our national news channel, Times Now, might just criticize me and talk about it. But not even a word of criticism. There's a silence, and you can understand the silence. My book is a result of an investigation that could not be published by Tehelka, and I'll give you a small example. The week they took a call that my investigation will not be published, within weeks we had 4-page spread ads from the Adanis in our magazine for a good 1 month, and that was a first-hand experience at the corporate journalism nexus, and precisely why I had to self-publish it. I had a contract with 2 high-profile publication houses in India, and one of them refused to take my calls in 2014, and for a good 1 month. And it's only when I wrote to them after a month, just tried a trick saying, oh, I'm withdrawing my book, and immediately came a response, please go ahead, your choice. That's how it is. I write for various international publications, I write columns, but for the last 2 months nobody has approached me to write a column because they believe that somewhere down the line I might just insert a line about my book, or they might have to mention that she's the author of Gujarat Files. That's the kind of Modi paranoia, I guess. Modi Amit Shah paranoia. The other day at some meeting I called Amit Shah a gunda, and somebody said, listen, you can't call him a gunda. I said, well, I haven't called him a gunda. The Supreme Court has called him one. The Supreme Court has, in its observation, called him a murderer, extortionist. So in today's day and age, I cannot even repeat what the Supreme Court says in its order, that I am living in a fascist state. I'm sorry. If there's an FIR against me for calling RSL responsible for murdering Gandhi, then I might as well be a criminal in this state. I've been asked to discuss about Malegaon. I mean, it's hilarious. The kind of cover-up we see in Malegaon, suddenly I see a halo around Sadhvi Pragya Thakur now. He seems like a new avatar of humanity that, we have seen so far. I was the first person to have got the tapes in the public domain of her conversations with army men, 7 army men who have till date, in the last 8 years, not been investigated or interrogated by the ATS. Because you see, questioning the army is anti-national. And you must have, we've all had a close brush with it in recent times, because whenever we question the atrocities on Kashmiris in the last 1 or 2 weeks, mainstream editors have accused me of stoking anti-national sentiments. So there are certain elements you're not supposed to touch. Malegaon is an example of these caveats that are put in place for this journalist, activist. Malegaon is a sinister case. I mean, what do I say? When I first went through the tapes, I was shocked. He was a top guy from the military intelligence. Colonel Purohit, who I hear in the tapes talking to Sadhvi Pragya Thakur of annihilating the entire Muslim community and taking help from US and Nepal and getting the Maoists in India and forming a kingdom of their own. And today the same Colonel Purohit is now being given a benefit of doubt by the NIA. I mean, I won't be surprised that like Satyapal Singh, who is in parliament sitting today, he might also be sitting in parliament 5 years from now. I mean, in the last few weeks, I have seen on social media the IT cell managers of the BJP calling themselves fanboys of Nathuram Godse. So we are stepping in that era. All that you used to hear in whispers earlier is now mainstream. And you have to accept that because deep down, we are about 100 of us here. I don't think a large population of India is really willing to look inside and introspect on the kind of demons they have unleashed upon themselves. I mean, I don't blame Modi, Amit Shah, or the RSS or the dispensation or the victims or the culprits in Malegaon. I believe we ourselves as a society have disintegrated to a level that we have voted these demons to power. I mean, here is a man who, in an interview to an international news channel, says that kutte ke pille, I mean, he compares Muslims who are killed in Gujarat riots and he draws an analogy to a puppy. And we have placed him on a pedestal. What do I say? I mean, he didn't, and he has been a democratically elected prime minister. So I can't say that it is fascist in every way. I think somewhere we do need to introspect. Are we in our very DNA a communal country? Do we want a man like him as a prime minister? I think we do. I think in 2019 we're all set to see him return as a prime minister because we have lost the desire to be a democracy. We have lost the desire to be a secular country. I'm sorry, I mean, I might be very cynical today, but that's how it is. What you see in Una, I mean, perhaps, few stray cases are highlighted by the media, but that happens day in, day out. I mean, we should not be surprised if you see Dalit lynching happening or a Muslim being killed because he consumed beef or his meat turned into beef overnight in the refrigerator. I'm sorry, but this is how mainstream atrocities are committed just because of the blow. Don't believe this is a eureka moment and you're kind of suddenly waking up to this new India which is communal. I'm sorry, it's always been like this. Scratch the surface, it has always been like this. People used to send me messages earlier. Earlier they used to talk in whispers. Yeah, why are Muslims so communal? Now the WhatsApp messages have come to me saying Muslims are communal. They're asserting it. And that's happening because the criminalization of politics has internalized itself in the masses. You see the discussion in the local train and you will realize exactly where we are headed to. Anyways, I think I'll just come back, I'll digress a bit, I'll come back to my book in Malegaon. Gujarat Files largely is a sting operation done by me, posing as a filmmaker called Maithili Tyagi. Now the name was selected very carefully because Maithili is a Kayas girl who's somewhere between being a Brahmin and an OBC, and she goes around with a French filmmaker and a couple of acquaintances from Netherlands and Denmark. And in Gujarat, anything relatively American is accepted with open arms. That worked in my favor. For 2 months, I went around with filmmakers from Gujarat shooting item numbers and shooting 70-year-old filmmakers with poses 20-year-olds and doing romantic scenes. But I had to do that because I had to get into the skin of Gujarat and its topmost in this league of criminals. I infiltrated the rank and file. For 1 year, I lived the life of Maithili Tyagi. I was nowhere close to being Rana Ayyub. My laptop was formatted. I wasn't in touch with my family except for 2 phone calls from a PCO, and that's all they remember of me. I lived the life of Maithili Tyagi because to see that kind of hatred for a community and to not react, you cannot be Rana Ayyub. I could not have been Rana Ayyub and gone ahead and met those people and heard that kind of stuff from them. Considering the Commissioner of Police, PC Pandey, tells me in sting operation, उन्होंने हमको 2 बार मारा, हमने 1 बार मारा, अच्छा लगा. That's the Commissioner of Police of Gujarat. And in any other democracy, if a statement like this came out in the mainstream media, it would have been dissected, discussed, and there would have been outrage. I mean, we are a free country, I'm told. So you see this, not a whisper about what PC Pandey says in the book. There is the ex-ATS chief who says that Amit Shah asked him to kill the people in his custody and goes on to say that Ishrat Jahan, and the girl who was killed in the encounter, was actually kept in a farmhouse by him, and not a single whisper. A same man goes on to say, the man who shot Ishrat Jahan goes on to tell me, I mean, he's an Osho bhakt, so he talks to me about, how I should quit smoking, and it's not a good idea for an Indian girl to smoke. In the same vein, he goes on to say that, when he shot at that girl, Ishrat Jahan, he did not even know she was a terrorist. Ideally, I think this should have been discussed by us as a society, and forget the media, but there should have been discussions all over the country, in bookshops, in regular domains. It's not happening. Let's say something about us. But there is a ray of hope. I think the fact that this book has sold about 30,000 odd copies and an equal number of e-copies, and the kind of mails that I'm getting from people, some of them have written to me saying, we hate you, but there is an element of doubt in us now. That bit of doubt is exactly what I was seeking. That I have made people question the man they're placed on a pedestal. That's what Gujarat Files is all about. It's about the complicity of the state in crimes against humanity. It's about Metri Tyagi, kind of regaling and partying with these criminals each evening, and talking about them and telling them, so it's so heartening to see that Hindutva officers still exist. I mean, it was a scary experience for me. After about a year of being undercover, I had to take psychiatric treatment because I was living the life of a person who was complicit with these bigots. I mean, for me, the line between crime and humanity had blurred quite a bit. Because when you start living somebody's life and you kind of start admiring and applauding them day in, day out, you kind of start believing in it. I almost started believing that Singhal, the officer who shot Ishrat Jahan, was actually not much of a criminal. I thought that Muslims were actually the evil people that they are. Imagine if 1 year of indoctrination did that to me. Imagine what that is doing to people in Gujarat and people across the country over a period of time. That's what Gujarat Files is all about. I've been asked to talk about Malegaon. What do I say? Hemant Karkare, when he was martyred, news channels gave him fitting tributes, calling him the son of the soil who gave his life for India. And today, RSS bucks are going around on social media calling him an ISI sold out. Can you imagine where we are heading to? Shahid, Mukul Sinha, who my book is dedicated to, and all these people have been fighting an unpopular battle, and I'm guessing history will be kind of objective towards them, and history will be, inshallah. I met Shahid sometime in 2009, I'm guessing, when we were doing this undercover investigation for MCOCA, Makuka, the draconian terror law. And by virtue of being a fellow ASMI, we struck a camaraderie, we became great friends, and on the day of his assassination, I was to meet him that evening. He was one of my closest friends, and somebody who was extremely fond of. And that day I switched off my phone because Shahid had said he had a bad migraine. And it was my niece's birthday, so I'd come back from Nagpur, I was celebrating. And in the evening when I picked my phone, there were about 60-70 missed calls from all the journalists. And the last message came from an Indian Express journalist, I remember very distinctly, which said, "Can you confirm if Shahid Azmi is dead?" Either you mourn these things or you move on. I think the first person I met was Susan right after I went, because I didn't know where to look. Here was a man who spent 4 years in jail, and who could have easily come out and become an antisocial element who could have taken law in his own hands. What did he do? He fought for those people who were behind bars, who were fighting a similar battle. He chose, but he fought a battle for us. He used to live in this very lower middle class apartment in Taximan's colony. And once I asked him, once I was sitting with him and there was this Dalit couple who came because the son was arrested under MCOC and did not even have the money to pay for his bail, or he was acquitted, but still there was some legal formality. They had to pay some kind of bond, etc. I remember Shahid not just paid them money to go take a cab and go back home, but also ensured that he would help them financially. That's what Shahid asked me. The only way for me to kind of pay tribute to his memory was do this investigation, this Amit Shah fake encounters investigation, which I did eventually, which finally led to the arrest of Amit Shah in 2010, when the Supreme Court of India sent him behind bars, calling him a murderer. And that was victory for me. Immediately after Shahid was murdered, I went to Gadchiroli, Chandrapur to kind of to report on the cases on Dalit students who were arrested under UAPA, because the evidence against them was they possessed literature on Bhagat Singh and Karl Marx. That's a society related. That's the reason why I think today, as we sit here, we should celebrate Shahid Azmi and Mukul Sinha. I'm going to share an anecdote about Mukul Sinha. He used to call me Natasha because he didn't have a daughter. So he said, because I don't have a daughter, I'll call you Natasha. I used to call him Baba. So Baba would tell me that he would not live to see the day when Narendra Modi would become the Prime Minister of this country. We would joke about it. On the 12th of May, I was sitting, I was going in for a live chat on NETV. The exit polls were announced on 12th of May, if I remember right, and BJP was given 290-300. Just as I was about to go live on television, came a call that Baba had left us. He really indeed did not live to see the day when Modi became the Prime Minister of this country. And till the day that he was in jail, he was fighting a horrible case of lung cancer, and he was going through chemo. I remember on the day, a day before he died, and he was in a very bad shape, he called his wife and said, okay, what's the status of the Ishra Jahan case? These are fighters, and these are people because of which journalists like me, who Susan said the young that we're not doing a favor on anyone, we're doing a favor on ourselves, because there's a lot of, I think we owe this to the profession that we are a part of. It has given us a name which we are so proud of, and this is our way of giving it back to the society. By writing Gujarat Files, I have not done a favor to anybody in Indian society. I've done a favor on myself because it weighed on me and weighed on my conscience, and I wanted to get rid of the sleeping pills that I was eating each night with the psychiatrist recommended to me. Gujarat Files is a favor to myself, to wake myself up from this slumber that I was in, that nothing is possible in this country, and if Amit Shah can get bail in a case of murder, then I just want to hang in my boots and perhaps look for other avenues to work. But thanks to people like Shahid Azmi and Mukul Sinha and all of you people who are sitting here, who have helped me face the self-censorship of the mainstream media, that this book is out here in the public domain. And but Gujarat Files will not be enough to wake up the Indian society. This is just the tip of the iceberg. You know how the media is dealing with this book. What do you do about it? Question, I'd say, I don't know how to put it, but when people ask me, they write to me saying, it's so good to see a brave girl, it's like they're shooting from my shoulder. If I can do this, why can't you do it? How difficult is it to ask the question of the people you vote to power? How difficult is it to, I don't know, I'm just thinking from the top of my head. I'm really confused. Why are we in such a slumber? Why does it shake our conscience to have? Yesterday I was watching the parliament proceedings and I saw Ramdas at Havle talking about how BJP did not give him Congress did not give him a chance and BJP gave him a chance, and he was mocking and joking in parliament when he's supposed to be the representatives of Dalits, and Dalits are being lynched in Unna, he is a representative who is mocking it in parliament, and nobody in the mainstream media picks it up as an issue. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that the same people, the same Dalits in this country will vote for him because they do not have an option. And that's the problem with us in this country today. And I asked somebody the other day, who was a bureaucrat, I said, who do you vote for, sir? He said, well, I can't vote for Rahul Gandhi, so I'll vote for Narendra Modi. I said, despite the fact that he, for me, is a man who was in the Hello affairs when a genocide took place. He said, give me an option, I won't vote for him. We are in a situation like that. I mean, I'm sorry, but we are in a situation because we have made Modi an indispensable commodity right now because none of us are willing to question or willing to stand up there and take a position. Most of us. I mean, some of them, I think there are aberrations to the norm. I think some of us do have the convictions left in us, but I don't see it. I don't see it in as much measure as should have been seen. I'm guessing that out of the 100 odd people that are here, at least 5%, even if 5% of this population asks a tough question, India would be a better country tomorrow. And that's all I can say, and I think the rest should, no, I think we should just continue with the rest because I don't know what else to say really. To be very honest, I'm not a great speaker also, I'm also a bit under the weather. So, I don't know, I've spoken so much about Gujarat files, I've been promoting it day in, day out. I launched it in Gujarat, there were 3 CRPF vans waiting outside as if there was an anti-national act being committed by reading out from the book. But do read Gujarat files, do ask some questions of yourself and ask questions of me, criticize me, critique me, but please ask those questions. Thank you.